Hi everyone, it's Alex, and this is Kelsey, my friend, obviously. And you guys probably know from a past video I talked about having an old roommate that really inspired me to read. But Kelsey and I lived together a few years ago, but she's in town, and she also has her master's like I do, but hers is in library information science. So she's also really into reading and stuff. But since she's in town, I figured we could do a video together because I forced her to. Today we're doing the Mid-Year Freakout Book Tag, and Kelsey and I will be answering them together. And I was tagged by Chris at Chris Bookish Cauldron. We're excited, so.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll let Kelsey go first since you guys kind of already know my reading taste. But Kelsey and I have similar tastes, but she'll go first and then I'll go second. And then I'm trying to use iMovie now, so we'll see if you guys will see books appear right here, hopefully. The first question says, what do we think is the best book of 2018? So.
Okay, my answer is I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. And I know you don't read a lot of true crime or really like that type of nonfiction. Mm-hmm. So I think when I recommend true crime to people at the library, I point them towards that because it's a very engaging and well-written book. I think that it's very academically written to me, so I would recommend that. But I think I read it at a really good time. It was right when the Golden State Killer was kind of coming into the limelight and that was happening. So I was like also following along with the news and a lot of social media things.
For me, my best book this year I've read so far is definitely The Idiot by Elif Botman. You guys know I never stop talking about that book. So if you haven't read it, I recommend it. And a quick recap. It's about a girl named Celine it's her first year at Harvard, and I keep telling you to read it because I know you'll really like it.
Yeah, I know.
And she does stuff you'd expect, kind of try to get in a relationship, but she's also really into her studies, studying, I think it's linguistics, and it's just really cool to watch it all unravel with her enthusiasm for studying, but also interacting with the culture of Harvard, and also what it means to be an American citizen. So the next question says, what do we think is our best sequel of 2018? And we already kind of talked about this.
Yeah, I didn't read a book that was a sequel, so I don't have an answer.
All I read, I'm almost done with, or really the only thing I can talk about is the second book of the My Brilliant Friend series by Elena Ferrante, The Story of a New Name. I really like it a lot. That's not a good thing. Well, it's not as in-depth as what I would say. The third question says, what is a new release we haven't read yet but want to? So what's
Mine
yours?
is The Idiot.
Oh, okay.
By say
Elif Botman, I think. Yeah, Botman.
Yeah, because you've recommended it to me, and it sounds like something I'd really like. It also, but to me, books about school and set on a campus are very fall reads to me.
For me, the new release I haven't read yet but want to. I think this came out a few days ago or something. But Crudo by Olivia Lang, the author of The Lonely City, that nonfiction text,
Yeah,
you like
that one.
Yeah, I love her now. But I've never heard about her fiction. I think it's her first fiction, I'm not sure. But I'm really excited about that one. So the next question says, what is the most anticipated... Oh, no, wait. That's the one I just said. What is our...
No, the most anticipated
release.
release.
Most anticipated release...
Of the
for
year.
the second half of the year.
Oh, okay.
So, do you have one?
Yeah, mine is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Atessa
Moshfegh, right?
I think something like that.
Well, that's mine too. So, yeah, so that's...
Is it really?
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. But
interesting. We were just talking because we saw Eileen.
Yeah,
in the article.
Kelsey's read Eileen, but I haven't because it doesn't. I hear it's good, but it's not in comparison to this one. I think this one sounds more.
I think
up my
that
alley,
what hurts Eileen a lot is it's often compared to Gone Girl. It's really great. I was telling you. Max from Well Done Books, I think, gave a really great review of it where he talked about it maybe would have been better as a short story, and I think that's a perfect. Yeah. It's just a very long stream of conscious. I don't know how, because I know you're a little funny about that.
Salinger, when I think of him, he writes sort of stream of consciously, so I like that, but other things, Well, I don't know if like On the Road is stream of consciousness, but there was like a lot there that could have been cut
Just.
out. So, and you got that for me too, but
Did I?
yeah, it was
Sorry.
like for Christmas years ago. Biggest disappointment you had for the year?
This is a long title, so I'm gonna read it. You play the girl on Playboy Bunny, Stepford Wives, and Other Mixed Signals, and I don't have the author written down, but you can just pop it in here.
Right here somewhere.
But it was a collection of nonfiction essays on feminism, and I had high hopes for it. It was a very, I would say, like, introductory book to feminism, but
no.
It just
pass.
Yeah, it was very trying. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I know, because right now, like in our time, I'm sure it'll be remembered that we right now have like a lot of like intro feminist texts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like trendy feminism, maybe.
And I would say it's very like maybe like elite feminists. Like it's kind of written to like a very elite audience. And it's just they talk about Sex in the City a lot, Playboy bunnies, which sound like cool concepts, but I feel like they're just like super overdone. And yeah, I actually, do you read Bitch Media's like recommended books? They recommended that one. I've had like great luck with everything that they've recommended, but that was one that just didn't work out for me.
For mine, this was also a book you got me, but it was which isn't, that's nothing to say about Kelsey, but you saw her in person or doing a talk?
Oh,
it's the When I Call You a Terrorist memoir, a Black Lives Matter memoir, which I feel weird to say I didn't like, because clearly I support, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, but just the way, I talked about this in a past video, but just the way it was written felt very introductory, personal essay, college freshman writing, if that makes sense. I love, you know, the themes and the content, and I also even like the structure, but the writing, it felt really rushed. So I think if it was something else, like, I don't know, like a TED Talk or like
that's
presentation,
a good point.
I think that'd be a lot better.
Yeah, and I had the same feelings about it. I didn't finish it, or that would have been a good one for me to say, but you had told me.
I basically told you, like, you can not skip this one, clearly, because it's like, you know, enlightening.
Yeah.
But just in a different medium, maybe.
I think it has like an important like cultural presence right now, but also like it's pretty disappointing that it was not the best.
With the next question, well, mine's a bit an interpretation, but beyond disappointments, what was your biggest surprise?
My biggest surprise was The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapina.
Okay.
And I don't think this is up your alley at all. And I would definitely consider it like a psychological thriller. But I kind of read it as that book that when you haven't been reading for a while, that you want to read something to like get you back into reading, because it was short and quick. And I was very genuinely surprised. It had really good twists. I mean, it wasn't anything like groundbreaking, but I will read anything by her now. So
yeah, and that's the one. Was it you and your mom the other day? Where you were
I gave it to my mom.
Yeah.
But it's about a woman and her husband who go over to a party next door, and their babysitter cancels, so they decide to leave their like newborn baby unattended and just go and check on the baby every like 30 minutes since they're next door, and the baby goes missing. So they're trying to figure out what happened. So
my biggest surprise, which like surprise that I didn't like as much as I thought I would, was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste.
Oh, okay.
I told you this before,
Yeah.
but just with Little Fires Everywhere is a sophomore novel by, you know, a writer that, you know, got a lot of buzz with Everything I Never Told You, the book that came before. I just thought it would be better. I felt like it kind of fell into the trap of how will this book sell versus how will this story, I don't know, there was just a lot I didn't like, but I still appreciated the themes and stuff. So that was mine.
Yeah, and I read her first book, and I agree.
The next question says, who is your favorite new author, whether a debut or not? So just anyone new to you.
Put Sherry Lapina, because
that?
that's the one who wrote, or the woman who wrote The Couple Next Door.
Oh,
one I just
okay,
talked about.
gotcha. That makes
Which
sense.
I did end up reading her, I want to say it's like her sophomore novel, which was A Stranger in the House, and I hated it. I thought it was not good.
Oh, okay.
I was super
yeah,
disappointed.
I almost thought when you said it a minute ago, The Couple Next Door was because I knew there was something like that you didn't like.
Yeah.
So it was that one.
I listened to the audiobook on my trip up here.
Mm.
And maybe the audiobook was the mistake, and I don't know. I was super disappointed in it. But I still will read anything she puts out now. So, I mean, that first book was just so good. So.
My favorite author, which is like no one new to anybody, I'm sure, is Jhumpa Lahiri with The Interpreter of Maladies.
Yeah.
I raved about that when I read it in June. I think to you too. But her, like, you took good stories in college.
Yeah, I read it, some, like, random stories in it throughout.
Yeah, he made us read the main story, Interpreter of Maladies, which I really liked.
Right.
I just never got around to reading the whole collection, but it's great. So if you guys haven't read Lahiri yet, I recommend it. So the next one, newest fictional crush. I'm interested what you say for this one. Would you?
Elio's dad and Call Me By Your Name.
Is it because
Because
like
he's
movie
so
him or like book him? Because I know you.
both.
Oh, okay, so
But I would say movie him over book him.
that makes sense.
But he's so smart and well spoken, and I think he's such an interesting character.
That reminds me, actually, in my past video, Matt, if you're watching, I'm in my past video with LGBTQ themes and stuff. I used this term like, I talked about Call Me By Your Name, and I was like European lifestyle, but like me, I totally like westernized that idea. Like, oh, I think of everyone in Europe as like, you know, lives in a great house and has a garden and is liberal maybe or something. But like, clearly that's not the case for everywhere in Europe.
Did Matt call you out?
Well, sort of. Which, Matt, that's fine. Someone else
Do
did
it again.
too. But like, I shouldn't have like lumped that term like European lifestyle.
Yeah.
But for me, my fictional crush, I really loved Michael from Tin Man. I think.
That's another one though.
Yeah, he was like charming, and I just loved his attitude. It was very positive, despite things that happened to him in that book that I won't mention. And then I also love Celine from The Idiot because I just think she's funny. Like when you read it, like I hear it like out loud, and I think like I'd be friends with her, like in a heartbeat. So the next question says our newest favorite character. So who is yours? Is it Elio or Elio's dad?
Elio's dad again.
Okay.
For the same reasons as before. I had a lot of trouble with these, so these two at least.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I have repeats in here, kind of. But my newest favorite character from this year, at least, is Thomas McNulty from Days Without End. That's the story about like a long time ago. I don't know the specific dates, but like the war early on, and then he's like in the war, but he's also like has this evolving relationship with this man named John Cole. But then Thomas has like his own moral conflicts with like being in the war, and then like how people treat each other, and then he goes through his own stuff. That's not saying a lot because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I really love his character.
What's it called? What's the book
Days
called?
Without End by Sebastian Barry. But also, it's written like as if how Thomas is talking, like just like undeveloped English. Like it's just, you know, someone that doesn't have like a big education. So the next question says, a book that made us cry. So.
Oh, mine is You Don't Have to Say You Love Me by Sherman Alexie. And I listened to maybe like half of it on audiobook, and then I read the remainder because my library download expired. But when he was reading it, it was like, I wish I could have finished the whole thing on audiobook because he was like incredible at reading it. It was very moving, and he was like tearing up while he was reading things, maybe like poems throughout.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, you'll be reading about kind of his...
His what?
Sorry, cut that part out. He talks about his life, and then he'll like interject it with poems. And when he's reading the poetry, it's like pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And I got pretty teary-eyed reading it.
Because that's mainly about like his and his mom, right?
Him and his mom's relationship, as well as just like his relationship growing up in an indigenous community.
Mine was Night by Elie Wiesel.
I read that in high school.
Yeah, that one, that's a lot. But it's so small too, it's only like 100 pages, so it felt like a lot. But that's mine. So the next question says, a book that made us happy. So
Okay, I put Courage is Contagious and Other Reasons to Be Grateful for Michelle Obama, edited by Nicholas Haramis.
I never even heard of this.
Yeah, it's a short, maybe like 90-page book that was put out by Lenny, which is the Lena Dunham's press. I want to say it's under like Simon & Schuster or something. And it's just various people of like the fashion industry or celebrities, a good mash of all kinds of people from different industries just talking about why they're grateful for her. And it's a good feel-good read, and it makes you really happy. So you'd like it.
I'll add that to like my to read.
Yeah.
For me, again, a repeat. I said The Idiot by Aleph Bachman. Kind of like what I said earlier. Just Celine is a really endearing character, and just her relationship too that she develops between like her classmates. I just felt really like I was there, and it felt good to read. The next question says, I don't have an answer for this, but Kelsey does. But it's based on what she told me earlier. Book to film adaptation. So
I put Call Me by Your Name, which I think you would have put if you read it this year.
Yeah.
So you read it a lot, way more before
sometime
me.
like this time last year, I think. So.
Yeah, because you knew Sufjan was doing the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what
you were all on that.
Yeah, I was like, Sufjan's doing a soundtrack for something. So. Oh, I'm curious what you'll put for this. I don't know if you have an answer, but the next question says, favorite review you've written, or at least for Booktube, favorite video. I'll go ahead and just answer this first since my channel. For me, I think it's probably, I mentioned this I felt like in past videos, but either my birthday video where I talked about books that I felt represented each year of my life, or also my review for The Idiot, just because I felt like that was where I was sort of providing the most analysis or information. So what did you do?
I put your video on the literature of Sufjan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just because I feel like we have a connection with Sufjan.
Yeah, because we went to the concert.
Yeah, and I also thought that was a very unique idea. And I haven't seen anything like that on Booktube.
That's me.
So I would watch a lot of stuff like that. So
good. I don't know who
I
would ever do.
I also really like your book, your video on books Elia would read.
Oh yeah, like 6
I thought
of them.
that was really good.
Thank you. I didn't force her to say that. So the next question says, most beautiful book cover. And for me, it's really any of the editions for the non-required reading series, like Best American
Elena
Non-Required.
Ferrante novels.
Not those. Those make me sad. Just looking at them, like they don't look like books. You know what I mean? Like they don't look like books that pull you in.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the non-required reading series. So what about you?
I put A Burst of Light by Audre Lorde. Have you seen that? They just like re-released it, and it has a very like a doodle type. Am I answering the right question?
Yeah, beautiful book cover. I just don't know what it looks like, but I'll like put it here.
It's really, it reminds me a lot of the Mary Carr Liars Club book cover.
Okay.
That style.
That's another answer I'd put.
But maybe like more colors. It's like a teal, so it's really pretty.
So the final question, it says, what are books that we need to read by this year? So what did you put?
I put down like 5. So My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante.
Good choice.
Which The First Bad Man by Miranda July.
Oh, okay.
Because I've had that forever, but I also feel like it's so quirky that
it's like really quirky.
I don't know, like when I'm in the mood to read something like that.
Weird, kind of maybe.
Yeah. The History of Love by Nicole Krauss, which we should buddy read because you want to reread it.
Yep, I mentioned this in a video too that I have no idea. This was when I put in the 6 books Elliot would like. That was one of them. And I only remember like the storyline kind of, but I don't remember any content or anything.
Yeah. Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado, which you love that first story.
Yeah, I do. The Husband Stitch. Yeah.
I've read a lot of articles by her, so I'm like fascinated by her.
Mm-hmm.
And The Liars Club.
Oh,
which I don't know how I haven't read that because I did my
your
thesis
on
type thing
Carr,
was on memoir, and is really similar to your idea of like truth. So I like read a good chunk of it, but not in any type of order. So I want to go back and reread.
Yeah, it's so good,
like beginning to end. So yeah, that's what
I need to reread that too. So when you read it, I'll read it. But
okay.
So my answers, I have a few like Kelsey. The first thing I want to read is Matt, if you're still with us watching after we talked about you earlier, Temple of the Golden Pavilion. Matt, I joked with that question for your Q&A about would you ever do a buddy read with me? And then you mentioned that book, and I looked it up. It's about like trauma, all that good
Oh,
stuff.
that's
So I was
true.
like,
Yeah.
that's me. So Matt, I'm gonna get that book soon, and then
Matt's
we can
probably
buddy
not
read it.
talking to you
So,
anymore
I
because
don't
you
know,
generalized
he
a country.
yeah, so,
Or a region.
Matt, please still be my friend. So another book I have, this is a collection of short stories, and everyone, it's like being raved right now. It's called Fight No More, Stories by Lydia Millett, or Millay. It's about a real estate broker, and she interweaves, I think, in like
That sounds
where
familiar.
people live. So
Yeah.
they're interweaving
Oh.
storylines. So I think that'll be really good. It just came out, I think.
Yeah.
So I really want to read that. Then I also have some Booktube favorites lately, I feel like. I really want to read Outline by Rachel Cusk. I know that's a series, so that's the first one. It's about like Rachel Cusk. I don't know if this is nonfiction or not, or maybe it's fiction. Someone goes to like a summer writing workshop, I think, and it's just about how she feels affected by her students there, like their writing and like that stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I'm like, yes. So I want to read those things by Rachel Cusk, and then I want to read the series of nonfiction books by Deborah Levy. Are you familiar with Hot Milk? Like that
Yeah,
book?
yeah.
I think she's the one that wrote that.
Oh, okay.
But I
that
didn't-
was pretty popular
Yeah.
like a year ago or something.
So when I heard about this series, I'm really interested. And that's it. Those were all 15 questions, we hope. We haven't really been keeping track. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys liked Kelsey. Tell her to make a Booktube channel herself, please.
You saw this hot mess. They
Yeah.
don't want to see more of this.
Okay, well, I don't really know how to say bye because I usually just say, like, bye. So I'm going to turn off now.